Over $3 trillion in global trade passes through the South China Sea every year, making it a vital artery for the world's economy. When tensions flare between China and the Philippines, the ripple effects threaten global supply chains and economic stability. Chinese Coast Guard vessels regularly confront Filipino boats in waters claimed by both nations, turning routine fishing and shipping into high-stakes encounters. For the Philippines, it's about sovereignty and survival. For China, it's about asserting sweeping historical claims. This standoff injects uncertainty into global commerce, raising insurance costs, threatening rerouted cargo, and ultimately making goods more expensive for everyone. The stakes aren't just financial. From fishing villages in Palawan to boardrooms in Beijing, livelihoods and futures hang in the balance. What was once a peaceful trade route is now a flashpoint where a single misstep could trigger global economic shockwaves. The true cost of this conflict isn't just measured in dollars, but in the daily lives and opportunities of millions caught in the middle. As we explore further, consider how much are we all paying for instability in these waters? The South China Sea's fate is a global concern, one that affects us all. The South China Sea is the world's main shipping highway. 1/3 of all maritime trade flows through here. For the Philippines, these waters are the nation's economic lifeblood, connecting its ports to global markets. But constant tension with China casts a shadow over every shipment, raising costs and risks for exporters and importers alike. China, too, depends on these sea lanes for vital energy imports and trade, making any disruption a threat to its own economy. Both countries are locked in a dispute over a region they can't afford to lose, creating a paradox of shared vulnerability. A blockade or conflict here would send shockwaves through global supply chains, driving up prices and causing shortages worldwide. Even the threat of conflict forces companies to consider longer, costlier routes, undermining the just-in-time delivery system that powers modern commerce. The world's electronics, cars and clothing all depend on the smooth flow of goods through these waters. The South China Sea isn't just a regional issue, it's a linchpin of the global economy. If this artery is blocked, the consequences will be felt in every corner of the world. The stakes couldn't be higher. For Filipino coastal communities, the South China Sea is their farm, market, and heritage. Generations have fished in areas like Scarborough Shoal, but now Chinese patrols often force them out, slashing their catch and income. Families struggle as they're pushed into crowded, less productive waters, fueling poverty and overfishing. The loss isn't just economic, it's a blow to tradition and food security, as fish prices rise and protein becomes scarce. Ironically, a nation surrounded by rich seas faces hunger because it can't access its own resources. Environmental damage from island building and aggressive tactics further threatens marine life and future livelihoods. The destruction of coral reefs means fewer fish for generations to come. This isn't just a temporary hardship. It's a permanent loss for people and nature alike. The conflict's human cost is measured in empty nets and lost futures. Beneath these contested waters lie vast reserves of oil and natural gas, potentially billions of barrels, enough to transform economies. For the Philippines, tapping these resources could mean energy security, lower prices and new jobs. But Chinese claims and intimidation have stalled exploration, scaring off foreign investors and leaving the wealth untapped. As a result, the Philippines remains dependent on expensive imports, vulnerable to global price swings. For China, controlling these reserves is about securing energy for its massive economy and reducing reliance on risky sea routes. The scramble for energy makes compromise nearly impossible. Each side sees the other's gain as its own loss. The result, a stalemate with both nations missing out on potential prosperity. The riches below remain locked away, fueling tension above. This isn't just a local dispute, it's a test of international law and order. In 2016, a tribunal ruled in favor of the Philippines, but China rejected the decision, challenging the rules that keep global trade predictable. When powerful nations ignore international law, uncertainty spreads, making economic agreements riskier and more expensive for everyone. Countries worldwide have a stake in keeping these waters open and governed by rules, not force. The US, Japan, Australia and Southeast Asian nations are ramping up patrols and diplomacy, but this also raises the risk of accidental conflict. Defense spending rises and the threat of a clash could disrupt trade overnight. The outcome here will set a precedent for how disputes are resolved in the 21st century. The world's prosperity depends on a peaceful, lawful resolution. What role should the international community play? The stakes are too high to look away. The future of global commerce may hinge on what happens next in the South China Sea.